everyone. As you can see, with the help of my trusty Evie and Harlan, we've managed to clear everything out of the boat. We've stripped all the components down, it's been packaged away and labelled with where it goes, and that should hopefully make it easier to get it back in the right place, that I order the right pieces. It's looking good inside. Had a very brief inspection, can't see anything major that's an issue with it. A few places where we've got some little cracks, such as down here. Just a little crack just there on that rib. A couple other bits down here where you can see there's some deterioration where water obviously pulls for some length of time. Now, once we've had a chance to scrub that out and give it a good clean, get her nice and sparkling, we can then do a sort of more in detail fingertip inspection to allow us to identify any other points that are hidden under grime or dirt or flaking paint. After that, we can talk to Paddy Bird at Colonel Boats, who made our beautiful oars that you can see up here. We can take some advice from him then on the best way to repair any issues or problems that we find. So you can see just up here where reinforcements have been put in on some of the ribs where this has been done in the past, so we can figure out if we need to do that or make any similar repairs if they're within our capabilities. So while I was doing this, I thought I'd talk about the boat structure. I've worked a little bit in Clinker built boats in the past, and I know a little bit about them and how they're built, but I was sort of going to take the opportunity to tell people what I know about them and share some knowledge and see if anybody else knows any other history of Clinker built boats or how they work. So, you know this is a Clinker built Cornish pilot gig. What does clinker mean then? Well, it comes from a German word, clinch, meaning to fix together and to fasten together. And you can see that here on the sides where each of the overlapping planks is clenched together by these what are called clench nails, or clench rivets, the copper ones, and every 2, 3, 4 inches you have nails in to fix it to the board beneath and the board above, and you can see that all the way along in the hull, and that obviously is going to give lots of strength to the hull because each join, each board is connected to the board above and below, and the strain on that board is spread to the piece above and the piece below. And that way you're getting sort of 3, 4, 5 boards for the price of one at each point in the hull. The other name for clinker built is lapstrake. That's an old English word, I think, and it comes from lap. Strake is talking about a piece of wood that runs from the bow to the stern of the ship, so the whole length of the boat like that. And lap obviously comes from overlap, so where the actual boards overlap. So you can see why lapstrake is a common term used to describe this kind of construction. So what's useful about that? Why is lapstrake or clinker built such a common way of doing things? So let's have a look down in the centre of the boat. Now we've cleared everything out. You can see the only actual structure here is the ribs. You've got very, very thin, very light ribs, and then nothing. You have the seats, the thwarts, holding the sides in together, but no reinforcement or frames or big, heavy, chunky bits other than the very, very small, quite thin ribs. That's what, 1.5 centimetres, 2 centimetres in width. It's sort of helping pin the boards in shape. So you can see immediately it's going to be really light because it's just those thin elm boards which are joined together so regularly, and that's what's giving it the strength. And that strength is obviously coming then from these overlapping boards which are clenched, the clinker build of the boat, put them together, giving them the strength that way. Now if you look on the outside, you'll see the overlap in the boards. You probably think to yourself, if you know anything about basic physics or hydrodynamics, actually that's going to be restricted hydrodynamically, because as water is coming along the side of the boat, it's going to hit the overlaps, and those overlaps are going to cause friction, turbulence in the water, and going to slow the boat down. So you would think to yourself, surely this kind of boat is going to be slower Then say a similar boat that's built in another technique known as Carvel, where you would have a flat hull. So you can see over here an idea of how a Carvel hull would work. We have two boards. This is just a bit of tongue and groove I've got, but the two boards are butted together, so the edges of the board are touching together and joined that way. And that face-to-face join then allows the outside of the hull to be smooth. And you put a chamfer, a sort of an angle cut on that face, and that gives you the angle of the hull. But anybody that knows about this knows that putting two faces together is a terrible woodworking joint. And that's why stuff like tongue and groove is developed, because it actually has a stronger face-to-face joint than traditional old school just butted joints. So that's very, very heavy. Very, very weak join. So to give you the strength to the hull that you would need for a smooth outside boat, you would have to have inside lots of big timber structures to give that reinforcement. And you can see an example here on the split screen of sort of timber construction of ribs, and you can compare that to the size of the ribs and the weight of the ribs in our boat, and you can see straight away that's going to be immensely heavy, and therefore a much heavier boat, and therefore potentially probably lower in the water and slower than the Carvel, than the Clinker built hull we've got. You can see another example here, a cutaway of a Napoleonic warship. The old Hearts of Oak was what our ships were made of, because we had these huge big timber oak frames inside, which made it very, very slow. Now the other bonus is copper nails, as you can see here, have got a bit of flex, and the way it's joined together, the hull has a little bit of flex. So when that Cornish pilot was getting taken out to meet a ship coming in, that flex in the hull would allow the boat to take those Atlantic swells, those Atlantic waves, with less thumping and crashing. And you can see that in the way that sort of the Viking longships were designed and built, and with that long thin hull, with the long clinker build, giving it the flex so that ship could take the Atlantic waves. So that's how I understand clinker built boats and the benefits of them compared to a Carvel built boat. But this is an opportunity to, in the comments, give us your thoughts on what you think about that, if you think there are any other benefits or disadvantages of this kind of hull.